welcome. I'm so glad that you join us today for the Workplace Wellness Forum. My name is Joyce Odidison, and my guest today is Victoria Grainger. Victoria, tell us a little bit about you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Joyce. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited to be speaking at the Global Workplace Wellness Summit. And so I am the founder and CEO of an organization called Wellness Works Canada. And so I'm very passionate about workplace wellness and trying to also kind of start to eradicate this dichotomy between workplace wellness and healthy employees and organizational performance, because I think that they need to be addressed as one and the same, that they are, you support one, which will support the other. And really, if we want to have a healthier, our vision for Wellness Works Canada is to have a healthier, higher performing Canadian population and economy. And I think that if workplaces start to make workplace wellness a strategic imperative, we can start to kind of achieve that, because most people are working. Business have a huge impact, obviously, on the health of the population and of our economy.
Absolutely. One of the things that we talk about at the summit this year is that when we give people wellness education at work, when we educate people at work on wellness and wellness mindset, it permeates into their lives and their communities. And since everyone has to work, workplace is such a productive place, and people already know that they're supposed to learn at work, and work is about performance and development and excelling. And so adding wellness to that is such a natural, healthy, and appropriate way to present wellness and to change our population.
Exactly. I started out in my career working in health promotion about 20 years ago. And that was, I think it was a couple of years, I think it was about 1 year in, that I realized, hey, what about workplace health? Because I worked in government roles. I worked in insurance companies, and worked on these different types of large scale provincial health promotion campaigns. And I loved the work that they were doing to help support health in the community, and in schools. But there just wasn't enough being done in the workplace. And it's somewhat astonishing, because it is such an impactful environment to influence us. We think that health is maybe sometimes an individual choice, and there's choices that play a role, but even more so, the environment that we spend all of our time in really influences it. And work is we spend a lot of time during work days, more time with family or with our colleagues than we do with our family. And so it's important to positively influence that.
That is so true. We do spend more time at work. And even when we go home, we spend most of the time at home sleeping anyway. So we're doing chores, and when we are at work, we are actually our most productive time. And that's when we learn better. Because you learn when you're alert, when you are in a mindset of experiencing new things. There's such an alignment between workplace and wellness. And I love how when you teach workplace wellness, and over the last 25 years that I've been doing this work, I have had so many employees say to me, what I have done, the work you've done with me is I've taken it home to my children, my teenage, my spouse. I've shared with my neighbor. I've talked about it at my church. And there's such a rippling effect with the work that we do in organizations, because people actually identify themselves with their career.
They do. It's a huge part of your identity. Absolutely. Yeah. And it works both ways too, right? So organizations think, yes, it's a social responsibility thing to do. But in my talk too, I'm going to talk about how it's not just a social responsible thing to do. I mean, you do want your employees to be healthy and well, but it actually influences so many other things. It helps support innovation within people, helps support creativity. It obviously supports employee engagement and their motivation. It helps support operational effectiveness and efficiencies. When people are working in an environment that's psychologically safe, then they have the ability to speak up. And Amy Edmondson, she's a professor of Harvard, and she talks about psychological safety a lot. And she says it's the #1 determinant of team effectiveness. And she said the more that people feel safe to speak up, to maybe even challenge processes and admit mistakes, there's actually, when people are talking about mistakes, there's actually less mistakes, there's less errors happening, and you come up with more efficient and innovative ways of doing things. So you're better off that way. And it even goes beyond that. We even know that it supports customer reputation. So there
Yes.
was a big survey that was done about why do people like Starbucks so much? Like, why do they like the brand? And 87% of the people said that they like Starbucks because of the way that they treat their people. That was one of the number one reasons that they like the brand and appreciate it, because the people there are free to, they're supported with their education, and they're supported to be well. They have really good flexible work schedule arrangements, and they do all of these different things, which has them show up to be so happy and cheery, right? Have you ever met a Starbucks staff who isn't really, usually, I think
Yeah.
they're always usually pretty happy,
They're
inspired,
quite
and
perky.
motivated.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that supports it. And then obviously, revenue, it supports revenue at the end of the day
Absolutely.
too, right? So not just
Absolutely.
customer experience, but all these things, talking to the converted here, right?
Well, we are speaking to our audience because people are going to be listening to that. And so it's so important, though, to remind us. I think sometimes we forget, people forget because we're in the field. And one of the things I learned, one of my coaches remind me of, is that when you're passionate about something, it's like being on the bus by yourself. Like, I'm on the bus by myself and other people are busy doing their own things. And it's so important to remind them in a gentle way of where we are and where we're going and why we're passionate about this. Because I think most people, when they hear workplace wellness, they're like, oh yeah, workplace wellness. But workplace wellness has, I believe, one of the most important role, or such a significant way to impact wellness in families, to impact males, females, like all the different demographics, children's health. Because as when you're thinking about your wellness at work, then it naturally resonates into, oh, is my spouse well? Is my child well? What am I doing? How do I bring that into, oh, is my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law could use that, or my aunt could use this. Oh, maybe I should share it with my mom. I use the wellness improvement system, which is our 9-dimensional model. And every time I teach that model, I have the men asking me, can I take it home for my wife? I have the wife saying, oh, I'd like to show that to my husband. Oh, my sister could use that. And you see how people are starting to recognize, oh, wellness at work, it's not just about them being well, it's your employees being well. You actually have an impact on the community. It is social responsibility because you are now impacting, and that impacts us Canadians. It is so beneficial for us because we have universal healthcare system. So when you're sick, it affects me, right? It affects our entire system. And so it's important when I think most of us to ensure that we have great workplace wellness programs throughout of the Canadian population, because it will impact our health.
Yeah, it has a huge ripple impact, like you said. And even when we think about productivity levels and that type of thing. So with Wellness Source Canada, we actually do advocacy work around the impact that health has on performance and productivity, because our productivity levels in Canada aren't as good as they are in some of say those European countries like Denmark, Sweden, Luxembourg. And but there's higher investment for well-being, and their productivities are higher, and they have higher GDP per capita, and their economy is better. So I mean, we need to reduce the strain on our healthcare system, because the rate we're going, it's unsustainable, right? So
Absolutely.
That's great. But also all of our productivity levels is so important. So sometimes we try to almost change the narrative. And workplace wellness is kind of the term we always use, but we've been, at Wellness Source Canada, we've been using the term health and performance, just because they're so intertwined, to make it more of that strategic imperative. We're supporting the health and the performance of the individuals and the employees, and then their families, and the ripple effect it has, and on the organization,
On
right?
the organization, absolutely. Of course, healthy employees are going to perform a lot better than employees who are sick, because you look at absenteeism, you look at sick time, you look at insurance costs, so many of those factors that will play into having a population of employees that are not well, or then even your hiring prospects are limited, because if your population is unhealthy, well, who are you going to hire, right? And so there are many, many times when we have issues that are a little bit political. Right now in Manitoba, we had a bit of a kerfuffle because our premier, pardon me, said that he wanted all the casinos to be smoke-free zones. And then we have our indigenous community who, of course, they want to have the option because their casinos aren't, and they're feeling a bit of so there's was a bit of a back and forth here. And you look at it from a health and wellness perspective, and you think, well, it costs us when we have workplace environment that's not smoke free, because we know the impact of secondhand smoke, but then they have their cultural perspective to it. So sometimes it's that fine line, but we have to work together. I think it's so important to be collaborative and to look at how we can all bring our perspectives together because we have the similar goal.
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes this education piece becomes so important, right? And I was actually watching a Simon Sinek video last night, and he was talking about, so like that communication piece is so important, and the education piece is important. And he defined, and he talked about transparency as well. And he said, transparency isn't what always people think it is. It's actually about providing context and getting people inspired and understanding why decisions are made. So the things like the smoking, like you said, it's like if people can fully understand that the impact that it's having on maybe their peers and other people and the business and their health and their peers' health, then they're maybe more likely to get on board because they're a part of it. And especially if they're feeling if you use this type of inclusive leadership where people are bought into actually with the final outcome rather than saying, we're going to make this decision because it's best for you all,
Exactly.
then you'll have a better kind of outcome in the long run.
Absolutely. And again, like everything else, it's all about the approach, right? The intention is good, but what kind of conversations happened before? How did you work through the process? Did you have that, what we call it wellness conversation in our work here at IWS? We think it's so important to have those wellness conversations that tell people about why are we making those decisions and how is it going to impact their wellness, and give them that opportunity to be part of the dialogue, be part of the decision making, and to bring ideas to the table, because that is so important in what we do at work, so that people are engaged and they stay committed to the task because they have been part of that conversation. So it's very, very important. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some things you're working on now? What's on your plate?
Sure, right. So, well, work is keeping me busy with Wellness Works Canada. It's an exciting time because what we do is we support workplace wellness practitioners and employers in building a healthy, high-performing work culture. So we support them with research, evidence-informed tools, resources, guides, all kinds of different things, and certifications to help them. So we actually just recently launched a workplace health and performance certification program. So we're excited about that because it's the first industry certification that has a common set of competencies for people who work in this industry. And before now, there really wasn't. And so that's great. Our board helped develop that. So Graham Lowe's on our board, Deborah Connors, a lot of kind of the gurus and thought leaders in that space. And it looks at different types of competencies related to health promotion, organizational performance, and human resources and OHS. And so that's kind of exciting. So that's been keeping me busy. That's kind of one of the bigger projects because we've launched that. It's included with membership for people who are members of our organization. And it's been exciting because people are going through it and really enjoying it. And so that's kind of been the biggest thing. And otherwise, I've just been really busy on lots of other different types of education and resource development. So we're always developing new resources. We've got a new mindfulness guide. How can you create a healthy built environment at work? We've got a whole bunch of webinars. We just did a community of practice session yesterday, which brings together like-minded practitioners to learn from an expert, and then we exchange what's been working for you, what hasn't, what barriers you've experienced, how are you overcoming those barriers. And so that's been great to have that real community of people come together to talk about those. And then, it's mostly been focused though around mental health at work for sure. All the stuff that we're focused on just because of COVID, right? How can we have a good, safe return to work plan? And how can we, and so we're supporting organizations with things like, longer term flexible work arrangements, not necessarily remote, because there's all different ways of helping to support people to be flexible and that kind of thing. So those are kind of the major things we've been working on. We're also working with a couple of organizations who are interested in becoming employers of choice. So we have a certification program for them. And so that's been exciting. Obviously through COVID, some people have paused that, and then they're kind of just starting now to say, okay, let's continue on, and kind of get the word out there about the work that we're doing.
Absolutely. It sounds exciting
Yeah.
and so needed and so necessary in this industry. There's so much happening and so much that needs to happen and so many different perspectives. So it's nice to have a consortium of voices together and people coming together. And I think that's what we are doing at the same realm in the
Exactly.
global workplace wellness.
Yeah.
We are bringing together beyond Canada, bringing people from all over. And I'm amazed at what people are doing in their various countries and their various environments, and just to learn from them and to say, wow, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's amazing to learn best practices from different countries about what they are doing. It's just, it's amazing what you're doing here. It's great to create that community and to be able to share, because sometimes we get caught up in our silos of, well, what are we doing here, or our own province, our own territory, or whatever it is, right? But there's so much beyond there. There was
So
one other
much.
thing. Oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
one other thing I was going to add, sorry, about what we've been up to, and I forgot to mention it, but it's kind of big. So we've recently launched, actually they've been available for a long time, but we sold out, making mental health first aid kits available for people, just to make, because everybody's looking at how can we support mental health for our employees, and a great visible, tangible way to say, you know what, we value your mental health just as much as we do your physical health as it relates to OHS, is to have a mental health first aid kit that's nice and big and visible for people. So so we sold out of our first batch, so we just ordered a huge batch again, and that's been really exciting as well, just to help really again change the narrative and put the H back into OH&S.
Good. Excellent. That's really good. And we'll talk more, because one of the things that we want to do is make all of these products available for participants at the summit, to see some of the gadgets. One of our sponsors is the Apollo technology. Very interesting. So I'll be speaking to Dr. Rabin later today on that. It's just amazing, the things out there and the different tools for mental wellness, emotional wellness. And because at work we spend so much time, and sometimes we're so caught up in what we're doing. We're so passionate about what we're doing. We're so committed in what we're doing, and we lose track of time, and we lose track of things. I know for myself, I was like 12 hours. Have I been sitting? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Right. And so, setting those reminders, having yourself, force yourself to get up and move and get that circulation. I have balls under my feet. So I have a ball, I have massage, I have all kinds of gadgets just to keep my circulation and force me to get up and move. Because we get so committed.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's what's the funny thing about it, is that we need to walk the talk, but we're so passionate about supporting other people, we forget our own. Which is why I think our guides are helpful, because they have things like stress balls and a whole bunch of motivational cards in them that were reminders, right? And these resilience tips, and we say, put this in your cubicle or wherever it is that you're working, at your home office, is that reminder, because we need it.
Yes, I do. I have all kinds of visual reminders. I have stress balls on my thing. I have a ball here that I keep my feet on and I roll. I have a foot rock. I have another one for my that I use for my chiropractor that I sit on and I move my hips on. We just have to have these things, because these are things that remind us outside, because sometimes we need structure. I call them structure, right? When we do that wellness mindset shift, it's a shift to be well, because it's so easy to be unwell. It's so easy to be unwell. You just do nothing, right? And so it takes a mindset shift to be well, and you have to be able to build in these structures into your life and work to keep you motivated, to keep you on top of things, and to keep you functioning at an effective level. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a longer time to create this sustainable mindset shift, right? And yeah, you need those reminders in the
Absolutely.
interim.
Absolutely. Well, I am so excited to hear of all the things that you're doing and really, really
Thank
looking
you.
forward to your presentation. And you're going to be talking around workplace wellness programs too, right?
Yeah, specifically around how can you build a program that really links to organizational performance. And so we'll be giving a toolkit, digital toolkit, and evaluation templates, and some really practical tips and tools to help people be able to really support employee well-being and organizational performance to make sure that you really got that leadership buy-in and that you've got really good key measures to show that progress as you're moving forward.
Excellent. That's really cool. Looking forward to it. And thank you so much for just being here on the forum and telling us a little bit about you and what you do. And when people are looking for you, they just go to Wellness Works Canada. That's what it is.
Yeah, wellnessworkscanada.ca. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so
Perfect.
much, Victoria. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Looking forward to
Okay,
it.
okay, be well.
Thank you, you too.